Okay. Anytime, YouTube. Let's get going. Alrighty. Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Smudcast number 276. This is in defense of soft magical systems. And if you don't know what that means, we're talking about the concept of fantasy or fantastical elements that revolve around a culture or society that uses magic in a certain way. And the hard magical system has to do with hard ruling, hard systems like in D&D. You have stats based off who can cast what, how many times a day, how many points you need to do that, how you create things to like components to make a spell, that sort of thing. And you have stuff like in Lord of the Rings where it's more just an idea of this magical fellow, like the embodiment of Father Christmas, who can just commune with the spirits. And he's really powerful and he can cheat death and all this other stuff. So there's fantasy hard, fantasy soft, and it deals with magic as well. And this video that we're looking at, in fact, is by Hello Future Me, which is 2 years old, and it has almost 1.3 million views.
Oh no!
So he's a big guy. He's almost at 800,000 subscribers. So he's a big boy. So we have no problems.
I like some of his stuff, but the premise of this, the title of this, I just can't disagree with off the bat because it's not a justification for soft magic systems can work and have their place, but he says they are better. That's my contention.
It's an argument for why it's better, and I'm going to bet you it's going to come down to it makes me feel things better because when you have a hard magical system, he doesn't realize that all it takes is a good writer who's very sensitive to details, and you can do exactly the same thing in a hard and soft magic system. And then you can do the same thing you want with the dramatic aspects of a character. So I remember reading Shannara series or the Druid of Shannara, where there's actually two magicians in there. One of them is an old wizard called Cogleen, and the other one is I can't remember his name, but he doesn't have an arm. So he lost an arm, so he can't cast magic as effectively or as powerfully anymore. So he's kind of seen as half a wizard. But Cogleen never liked magic, even though he was one. He was a magician, and he uses powder. He uses science to amplify magic. That's what he likes better because it's harder. It's more sophisticated. It's more tangible. And he doesn't like the wildness. So just that element alone. And I wouldn't say Terry Brooks as a writer is very... he's like a Tolkien light. Like he writes a lot, but he's nowhere near as detailed. I don't think very few people are as detailed as Tolkien. But he feels like Tolkien in that regard when I read the characters. Like, oh, this is kind of like a Gandalf character, but totally different. That's what I like about Terry Brooks in the Shannara series. So it's kind of like saying I have a 10-pound weight or a 5-pound weight, and because I have a 5-pound weight, I can carry something else in my hand. But I have a 10-pound weight, I have to use both hands, which allows me more time and page space, I guess, to write about character development or character drama or whatever, which is not the most solid argument for writing. If you're a writer, you can write whatever the hell you want, however, and it shouldn't be a problem whether it's hard or soft magic. So,
yeah, and there are instances when it can look like soft magic to the reader or viewer, but the author has rules that he just didn't explicitly explain in the works that you get, but has them in for how he's writing,
right?
What's going on. That allows certain levels of freedom, of course. Like you can still make changes to it, while keeping in mind that you do not break what you have already published.
Right. Yeah.
But then you have, from what I've seen of Harry Potter, that's a soft magic system. That's just, we have a situation, and now we need a random spell that someone happens to know that it was never mentioned before, which makes it come across like just soft magic as a Deus Ex Machina.
It's interesting you mentioned that.
That's something I have issues with,
because that is a very detailed magical system. They have an entire school. They have wizard students and teachers, and yet there's like big tomes of books with all kinds of random spells that can do just about anything. And
it's implied. It's due to it being a magic school. It's implied that there must be some such. But the way the story comes across is that that's not really the case. Things just go the way people want. There's things like emotional power to it. It's hard to really pinpoint.
This is why
contrary to something like Wheel of Time, where it is.
They have a time turner as well. Stuff, turn back time.
It's kind of crazy when you.
Yeah, but they only ever use that once, thankfully.
This is the problem.
It breaks so much.
Yeah, that's the problem. You can't create time machines on like, oh, we have a little time machine in the corner there. We don't use it though. It's it's just for show. We just don't touch it.
Hey, why don't you use that time machine over there? No.
So the argument I would say, if he's going to say soft magic systems are better because they allow character growth or development or drama or whatever, I would say the opposite is true. Because once you have a limitation on a magical system, you have a limitation on the character, which is what character development begins with. You need weaknesses and flaws in your character, whether they're learning magic or trying to become something good, like we saw with, what's that? Oh, My Hero Academia, very popular anime. What's his name has to get good.
Oh, Jill.
Sorry?
It also, so funny.
It also forces you the limitations of rules. Also forces you to. Okay.
Gengar, are you making dinner at this point in time?
Okay.
Sorry.
Also forces you to find solutions within that framework instead of just going to a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
And since he in the title here he's showing Life is Strange as an probably a positive example of a soft magic system. No, that thing is just all over the place and has logical and raises a lot of logical questions. But I guess we'll get to that.
Right. So
no, I was just gonna make the joke that Wisp brought up Harry Potter, and I was literally about to say, oh, Harry Potter, mate, we might as well just bring in anime for two things I hate. And then someone brought up anime before I could say it. I was like, oh, look at that.
Well,
in anime you have soft and hard systems. I would say if you go about the whole energy and power level stuff in Dragon Ball Z, you are dealing with a soft magic system that pretends to have rules like metrics. But in the end it's in the end it's still arbitrary.
I know there's tons of.
It was always arbitrary.
Yeah, but it pretends to have rules, just like Harry Potter.
But there's a lot of Dragon Ball Z fans who are cursing your name for pronouncing it Dragon Ball Z.
I don't give a fuck.
Dude, that's
unless you're weird.
The German pronunciation of that letter is Z.
No, I'm saying I don't care. Say it however you want.
It somewhat.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying you can say it however you're comfortable with. I don't care.
Yeah, like I don't think there's some grammar Nazis from Canada going, you must pronounce it Z. It's like we don't, unless you're.
It's like
nobody cares.
Yeah.
We say Z in Britain as well.
Yeah. And
right.
as a counterexample, hard magic system Wheel of Time, you have rules. And they're fairly well laid out. However, within those rules, there is still a lot of margin for any character's strength with certain things. They rather have affinities into certain directions. Like you have a split between the elements between men and women. Women are more. They have for them it's easier to deal with air and water magic, while having trouble with fire and earth. And for men it's the other way around, and they're equally good at using spirit magic and weaving those together. That is one aspect of that. The other is the respective strength of a character. There seem to be limitations due to there seems to be a genetic argument there. Like the magic in that world is fading out because the women keep killing all the men, because men go insane from using magic since a certain event in history, which means that there are less as there's a lower chance of children being born with higher magic affinity, which also makes the like there are some characters who were stuck in time who come out, who are then very powerful, of course, and think the high level female magic users from the magic city are they're like below apprentices from their times. So you get some perspective there, but that is all. Those are still all soft systems in the background where you can operate with. You have creativity going where someone comes up with a new spell, but it's usually there is a process behind it. It's not just here. It's not there.
I would even go so far looking at anime again, just because everyone probably knows, but Naruto is a very popular anime, and they once talk about bloodline limits, or that there's strength in the blood, the purity of the house. So there's like the Hyuga clan or whatever. There's like branch families, and one of them has the main daughters who are gifted. One of them's not so gifted. That's Hinata. And then there's Neji, who's the branch family, and he's got really great powers in this bloodline limit that no one else has. And he's like so conceited and powerful, and he was trying to win the tournament. And that's integrated into the story so that it's part of the plot to have characters who have to deal with this new knowledge. So it's still a soft system, and that's the problem with Naruto in general. It's all, you're summoning giant creatures from who knows where, and they're fighting Godzilla battles, and you're just like, okay, this is cool. And then the next day, it's just a bunch of people jumping on the branches of a forest as they run by leaping from tree to tree. So it's kind of up in the air anyway, and that's okay, because you're not trying to tell a story about how ninjas came about. You're trying to tell a story about a bunch of characters who are striving for something, and they're too weak to do so amidst gods, essentially, about to crush their villages. And it just builds up and builds up to that point.
Yeah, and I think what we have here in this discussion is also one of the roots as to the issues with Disney Star Wars, because the whole Force thing grew into a somewhat hard magic system. Like, yes, we had no idea how it worked in the first movie, but there wasn't much you could do with the Force. It was mystical, but you couldn't do a ton of big things with it. And that was very slowly expanded upon. You could enhance certain physical capabilities. You could push and pull. You could do a little mind trick, and then the Emperor comes up with a special move of shooting lightning. Those are very, very, very few things that could act. That could be done
power.
With it. Yeah. Limited. And then Disney comes around and says, "Oh, anyone can do anything, and everyone can have it now. Everyone can have the Force now, not just certain special people."
Which pretty much destroys the entire point of the Force.
Yeah, and you can do whatever you want with it now, and there is no need to really learn anything. You can just pick up on it, and that destroys the Force. That destroys the few rules that the Force had into a soft magic system, and that is just completely uninteresting. It just turns it into bad anime.
It stops it being a soft. It's not even a soft magic system. The Disney trilogy. It's just shit.
Yeah, well, it's the extreme of a soft magic system where. Well, yeah, the soft magic system is not necessarily a system at all. In the extreme that we see in Disney, it just turns into Deus Ex Machina wherever. Every scene. It's like, every scene Rey is in and does the Force thing, it's a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. It's like it's almost like if you watch Lord of the Rings and then Samwise Gamgee starts doing Gandalf level of magic.
Because he now feels it.
He now feels it, yeah. And that's the level it's got to with Star Wars.
So
that's why I don't really think of it as a system. It's just a mess of just.
And that's the thing about Lord of the Rings, where you have hard and soft elements as well. In practice, we do not know what Gandalf really can do, how the magic works in that world. what Sauron can do, what Saruman can do, really, and how they do it, and what do they need to prepare certain things? What is it? Do they just will things into being that they want to do? It's not really there. It's not really explained, and it's not necessarily necessary for that story. However, there are rules in the law of Lord of the Rings that guide who can use magic and to what extent. But that is in the background law, like the power levels of the certain entities, creatures in that world, with the eagles being some of the most powerful.
Oof.
The eagle.
Yes, some birds.
At this point, the eagles speak for themselves.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's get on with the video. Let's see how long we got here. It is 12 minutes. All right, good. That should take too long.
Supposedly, from what Dolphus says, the last 3 minutes is just a advert for a live stream.
Yay! Well, for your big channel like this guy,
Us.
you're doing this partially for the money, so it makes sense. That's fine. All right.
So it's basically a 9-minute video.
There we go.
Yeah.
9 minutes.
Hey, woohoo!
Great Scott. There we go. Thank you, Great Scott. I think the Witcher
5
books,
hours later.
I think the Witcher books is also a good example of a sort of in between. I agree. Yeah, there's lots of great hard elements in there. You still have soft magic stuff, but you also have the glacialization white frost, which is pretty in depth in later books. And once you're talking about a video game adaptation as well, they have to make everything mathematical. Everything has to be a stat or a number or a time or something like that. So we have the rune system that Geralt uses. We have the actual witches and the sorcerers that use, they're basically demigods. They can do all sorts of crazy stuff. So then there's the Wild Hunt itself. There's the elves. There's those crazy other people in the woods. There's all kinds of magical creatures. There's vampires. Every high fantasy, dark fantasy element, well, not every dark fantasy element, mostly high fantasy, is present in The Witcher because there's so many creatures and you have to kill them. So they got magical properties in alchemy and other things. So great stuff. I mean, this is all fun fantasy crap that you get lost in when you read the books, and you wish you had more in the shows or the movies or the games. But I think The Witcher is a great example just because they adapted so much content into the game, and everyone can consume it in that fashion because everyone loves RPGs these days for whatever reason.
Yeah, I would in general say when you begin writing a story, as a reader, let's go from the reader's perspective. You read a story, and in whatever supernatural stuff is happening, you don't know the rules of it in the beginning as you come across it the first time. Over time, you start to notice patterns. Those patterns seem to be the rules of these supernatural things like magic. But then when all of a sudden these rules are broken, there better be a good explanation. Otherwise, it's neither a hard nor a soft magic system, it's just bad writing. And soft magic systems are more prone to breaking that rule without explanation.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Hello.
I think it works better in like low magic systems like A Song of Ice and Fire and Lord of the Rings.
All right, are we good to go? We're all on the watch together. We can all pay attention.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Well, I'll pay a bit of attention, but
good. That's always nice. Okay, let's go.
When Frodo returns home to the Shire after his journey, he speaks to his psychological wounds that never truly heal. There is no real going back. Though I may come to the Shire, it will not seem the same, for I shall not be the same. I am wounded with knife, sting, and tooth, and a long burden. Where shall I find rest? Eventually, Frodo would pass into the West in hopes to heal and find peace from carrying the burden of the One Ring, and the deep trauma that came with his experiences. This emotional beat in The Lord of the Rings speaks to Tolkien's experiences as part of the generation that emerged from World War I, with high rates of PTSD following the traumatic experiences of war. But it's also an example of a soft magic system in action, a magic system with few rules or limitations.
That part?
And it epitomizes what I feel.
Wait, hold on, that was a bit of a...
That's a bit of a jump. That
Maybe he'll explain.
okay,
maybe he'll
the
explain,
way
but yes.
maybe he didn't intend for this. Maybe he didn't really check his script. But what you are implying right now is that PTSD is magic.
Yeah, I don't think I don't.
It does feel like a curse, but it's not magic.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. That was such a jump. Anyway, about the traumas of World War One. Anyway, it's also a soft magic system.
But dude, PTSD follows a set of very, very, very hard rules.
Maybe let's let him explain. Let's let him explain at least.
Hold on, why is he
Totally
showing?
didn't
Yeah, but
mean
can I just say
that,
one
but
thing?
dude.
Can I just say one thing? Why is he showing people burning stuff at a protest or a riot?
I don't know.
Why is
soft magic system?
That's like arguing why is Life is Strange worth paying attention to for every scene of it. It's so much crap in that game. I don't know what you want. If Chloe's on fire, it's a good time. Okay.
I'm just wondering this opening.
Yeah, let's keep going.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Dismissed unique strength about them. People these days often see hard magic systems as better than soft, but this is a defense of
hard
soft
is
magic
better than
systems.
soft.
Okay, this is arguing.
No. You're not making a defense of
Yeah.
soft magic. You're
This
just
is-
saying they are better.
This is like looking.
That's more than a defense.
This is like looking at Star Wars for being sci-fi, and anything by Heinlein to be science fiction. Like it's just a different subgenre of the idea of science fiction. So you look to the greats like Tolkien and Isaac Asimov, and you go, okay, that's their realm of hardcore stuff. And then there's lighter stuff. Like I would say Terry Brooks is a lighter flavor of Tolkien. He has lots of detail, but he doesn't go into too, like he has stones, magic stones and runes and magic swords and all sorts of normal stuff. But it's not some crazy science of how to forge the sword or who can make the runes and blah. There's none of that. It's just enough to get you in the door and to follow along. Whereas I think even Tolkien doesn't go into, well, he has lots of detail as well, but he has music and language and songs and Tom Bombadil running around in a forest. It's all kinds of stuff is happening.
It's less mechanical.
I want to know the engineering of making a +2 elven sword.
So do I.
And the fire enchantment.
I don't understand what Hello Future Me just said with the is a soft magic system. I really couldn't understand. Maybe I really wish you kind of want to listen to that over again because I really didn't understand any of that. I really didn't understand.
Let's go one more time.
Yeah.
Of war. But it's also an example of a soft magic system in action, a magic system with few rules or limitations, and it epitomizes what I feel is an often dismissed unique strength about them. People these days often see hard magic systems as better than soft, but this is a defense of soft magic systems. The exact rules around the magic of the One Ring beyond it turning hobbits invisible are largely ambiguous. We know it draws Nazgul, can prolong life, it has an addictive power, but its most important property is that it worms its way into the mind.
PTSD thing?
Well, that's
Is that the ring PTSD thing?
That's part of it, but that's nothing to do with the magic system. That's just the effects of the ring. It's not like a magical element like, oh, we made rings to give you PTSD. It's like, no, that's just
I think I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he really messed up the script and didn't want to imply that PTSD is magic.
I'm gonna agree here.
Yeah, I think that was just a slight mistake.
Here's Joe Crazy. Waves wand. I cast Shell Shock. That's great.
Oh my god.
Traumatis Imperius. It's like, what? I'm feeling trauma right now. Why?
Yeah.
Mustardo gaseous.
Yeah, it's very different than, say, Mistborn, where there are 8 medals initially, and each one gives you a different set of magic if you burn it in your stomach.
I'm sorry. you've got 8 medals, and actually, no, I don't.
Is that Brandon
Basically,
Sanderson?
like, yeah, that's Brandon
Yeah,
Sanderson.
I thought so. Okay.
Basically, Mistborn. Yeah, basically, there are people whose biology allows them to ingest metals, and each different kind of metal, from pewter and tin, steel and iron, bronze and zinc, brass and gold, and another metal called atium.
Right.
Strontium.
Well, this is why we think of soft magic systems in Star Wars, because its focus, if not the idea behind, was all mysticism. It was all this weird sort of religious elements of spiritualism as well. So it didn't need to have, like, what is a lightsaber made out of? We need to know that. It wasn't important until the books came out. And then they defined it. There's a whole pilgrimage the Jedi have to go on to find their kyber crystal and resonate with you, and you know which one to choose and how you choose it, and when you combine your sword and when you make your blade, all this ritualistic stuff, which is still soft, but there's more detail. Detail does not mean necessarily hard science or hard magic.
It's you got a manual similar to how make magic work.
So I've seen this video before, and I think like his overall argument is essentially that like you can utilize soft magic system more for thematics than you can with a hard magic system.
See, that's what I don't understand. I want to listen to the video though, because that doesn't make sense to me. Because you can have any system of anything on top of character drama or themes or plot. Like, it doesn't matter. So,
it just sounds to me like you want to keep it open in case you need Deus Ex random moments.
This is another problem, because you mentioned that before with Deus Exes. I don't think magic is inherently a Deus Ex Machina. It's when you see stuff like with Rey doing things, you're like, wow.
Yeah. I know that. That's what I mean. When you have rules to your system, you can't just Deus Ex everything with it. When the softer you keep it, the more you can just make up shit.
As far as I know, he doesn't necessarily hate or dislike the Star Wars sequels, as far as I am aware. I could be wrong, but so far I haven't seen the only thing he said was like that in theory Luke could be good, but I don't think that he like makes any arguments for or against like the mechanics of the plot.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Mind of whoever is it and those around them. Frodo seemed to be weary to the point of exhaustion. He said nothing. Indeed, he hardly spoke at all, and he did not complain, but he walked like one who carries a load, the weight of which is ever increasing. The thing is, this important magical property of the One Ring is pretty soft. And this isn't a criticism, by the way, just an observation. Tolkien never set out to define this effect with any strict rules the way Brandon Sanderson might. It doesn't affect people consistently in the same way, either in how it tempts them or the powers it gives them. There aren't defined methods that the characters can use to resist it, and you can't necessarily quantify the effects that it has on ring bearers psychologically and emotionally.
I wouldn't call that soft, though.
Hence why Tolkien opted for the somewhat vague line, "I am wounded with a long burden." But that...
No, I disagree with him here. The effects of the ring are all very well explained.
Different people have different effects. Like Galadriel is this all-powerful like demigoddess from thousands and thousands of years ago. Faramir is just kind of a mortal man who's nobler than the average dude.
It goes for your vices.
Mm-hmm.
The ring simply goes for your vices and what tempts you the most. In if you had more power, what would you do with it? And how would you end up being as a corrupted being? With Galadriel yearning for worship, for example. And Boromir with his understandable yearning to defend his country and beat evil with it. But in that process, he would be consumed by the ring himself. That is, and that is kind of he would turn into the tyrant that he wants to dispose of, and that is I don't see that as a soft thing. That's just the individual application of the same effect onto onto each individual, and I don't see the ring as a soft magic device at all. Just because you do not have numbers attached to it and formulas, that is not a hard magic system. Is not made by quantifications of numbers. A hard magic system is made by logic in how things operate.
Carefully planned out rules. Very, very carefully planned out rules.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I guess the concept of the mysticism or the mystery of magic is sort of non-existent when you don't have a hard, or when you do have a hard magic system, you don't have mystery because it's all known. It's like, oh, this is what fire does, this is what lightning does, this is what blue magic does, or whatever. So it's all explained out to the audience. So they go, oh, okay, great. But until you use it in a fight scene or another scenario where the characters, I don't know, washing clothes with magic or whatever, it's like, oh, that's how you use it. And it's the same with manga, it's the same with comics. It's like, oh, what's this character doing? What's the system of magic? How does this work? And there's like lifetime magic where it's like I can wash clothes with pure water or something like that and clean out the air. It's like all these other little things which aren't considered awesome because it's just someone cleaning their house with magic. But it gives you a depth of the world that you wouldn't get if it was a soft system. So it's, again, how you express it, how you bring it out, whatever your theoretical, whatever your mystical element is, once you give it some detail, you're getting closer and closer to hard, but it doesn't mean you express the mystery of what magic is or what science fiction is or technology is. So I just don't like the definition because there's no rules. It's like, that doesn't help me. That doesn't help the audience. I want to know what Gandalf can do.
Hard magic is not about the numbers. It's where you're more likely to find numbers, but you have numbers in soft systems as well, like the Dragon Ball power levels bullshit.
I know, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't really mean there's no scale. It's just like, what does 9,000 mean? I don't know.
It's more than the thing can read.
Yeah, it's like,
which is all you need to know. Like, this is above what our equipment can even
but
perceive.
When we get to
he's strong.
When we get to Lord of the Rings and Gandalf can die and come back to life, and he can communicate to spirits, and he can do it's like he can make fireworks. Is he a scientist? Like, what is this guy doing? Like, how does he do stuff? It's never really.
Smud, it's just what does the Hobbits read? It's over 9,000. It's simple.
In Lord of the Rings, it works well enough because we know he's a wizard. He's a very, very powerful wizard. We don't know that he's some archangel thingy stuff because we don't have that deep lore. But it's enough to know that Gandalf is one of the most powerful beings in the story so far. So, okay, he can do weird shit. He's fighting a Balrog, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
This old man.
And he's got
old man
a
is
magical...
fighting a Diablo demon.
A magical longsword.
20 times the size.
He's got, what is that? What's the horse's name? Shadowfax. Like he could...
Shadowfax.
He has all these mystical elements, it's just like, where does he pull this stuff out of his ass? Just
so
eagles come down.
If he can fight a big Balrog, then I can buy him coming back to life.
Okay.
I can buy that.
Well, technically, it was God who sent him back.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know that from the story directly. But it's all good enough. It's all good enough. And he has an amnesia moment in the beginning too. That's also fine. So there are drawbacks. That's okay. But in the background, Tolkien had rules for this. Maybe not exactly lined out what is all possible and what is not, but he had rules in the background for his story, how it worked, and that limited him in what he could in what options he had to fulfill the story. And why we have these I keep bringing it up, why even the eagles didn't just want to take the ring, and why you needed the Hobbit. Because the Hobbit is the one of the lowest sentient creatures that's around, which means at the least affected by the ring, and therefore can utilize the ring in the least way possible, which is why all the Hobbit gets is invisibility. That's all. More powerful creatures than hobbits can do more things with the ring, but they also would be affected more by it.
I think
that is not a soft rule. That is hard logic. That is hard logic.
I think the mystical elements and the mysterious elements of the ring being this seductive, longing thing that people drive for, and what it exactly does, aside from drive their ambition to push them to do bigger things and more ambitious stuff, was what I got from the stories. It was always this, I'm going to become the ruler of the land. If I had the ring, I'd have more power. I could do more things.
Yeah, hobbits don't really care for power that much. They care for their next meal.
They really like farming.
They like the shiny thing, seems like. That seems to be the consistent thing where it's just the act of possessing it is fine.
Yeah, that's enough for them. And otherwise than that, it's the next meal, it's the next pipe of weed, and that's it. That's why. Yeah, give the ring to a hobby. It's probably the safest carrier.
Yep. All right.
It's kind of the point, isn't it? Because the emotional beats of Frodo's story here aren't really about the magic. It's about trauma and the difficulty of returning to your old life even when it's over. It's an example of what we'll call the psychological tension in a story.
But what's
the
that to do
immersive
with the magic?
experience of Frodo's personal journey with the ring is about how it torments him, how he comes to need and love this thing that he knows that he should hate, and how even when it's gone, even though he's relieved, he says, "It is gone forever, and now all is dark and empty." He defined himself by the One Ring for so long, and now it's gone.
Right.
Defining the magic of
think he
how the
defined
One
himself
Ring
by
worms
that.
its way into the mind of ring bearers with hard rules would undermine that more complex and grounded experience, because trauma itself and dealing with it doesn't neatly abide by hard rules. And soft
What
magic
you
better
are in
supports that thematically.
where's the pause button?
Here is
No, you're wrong. You don't know anything about trauma. Trauma does abide by hard rules, very hard rules. We can measure the fucking stuff in the brain with brain scans. We know its effects. We know how it works in the brain. We even know how to get rid of it with the right therapy. We know which substances work in aiding that kind of therapy, and it's not weed. And what to do about it, what causes it, whether it's physical, whether it is psychological, whether it is a single instance, whether it is prolonged several instances, and we know about different types of PTSD at this point, that all can come in different levels of severity. I'm sorry, PTSD is not soft magic.
Yeah,
PTSD is,
I think he's
is
getting
a hard. It's if anything, it's a hard system.
Yeah,
he
just got two ideas, character drama or drama beats, confused with magic, and I don't know why.
Yeah, and really, dude, you are not. If you say PT, you are. I gave him the benefit of the doubt in the beginning, but now he actively equates trauma to magic, and what you say by that is that you are powerless against it, and that is not the case. You imply that you are now struck with a curse that you can never get rid of, never deal with, never overcome, never process, and that is just absolutely dangerous. I'm sorry.
Maybe what he's saying is that it's analogous or applicable to PTSD and trauma. And
It's not really. It's not really though, is it?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it is what
the
whole Lord of the Rings burden story is one of war trauma, but that is not the same as the magic as a magic system.
Yeah, no, he's conflating magic to mean something he doesn't know of or has a knowledge of. It's kind of like when people talk about the universe, they say the God of the Gaps argument. Like, well, God did it until we have science to figure out how it works, and then that's what Isaac Newton does. And even he did the God of the Gaps argument as well. So it's like he's just saying, let's fill in the blanks with magic. And you're like, no, we have psychology. We have neurology. We have all these studies of
Yeah.
people behaving a certain way for certain reasons. It's not unknown.
And psychology and stuff like this trauma isn't something from 10 years ago. People have been looking into this for decades.
Oh yeah, we have those videos of people in black and white of having the most neurological reactions to PTSD, and it's frightening. They just cannot control their neurology at all. Like their peripheral nervous system is shot. It's shaking, it's jumping. They can't, and they have no control. They don't understand it. And it's like watching someone's brain be fried, all this circuitry just fried together and then just brought back to life, and you're just like, oh, this guy can't walk anymore. His legs keep jittering for no reason. And it's frightening.
Yeah. It's kind of a less comedic version of the freezing goats.
Yeah, so he's just equating the wound, the whole journey, and the burden of the ring caused him with that being part of the magic. But that's not part of the magic. That's just the physical and psychological
that's the effect
of it onto you,
not the cause.
It's not caused. It's not a magic effect.
Right. So we don't even know the exact cause of what the ring does. Like
he was almost eaten by a spider. Would that give PTSD?
Let's also,
and that's also different. Everybody goes through trauma.
Let's also
several
be aware
times in your life, but that doesn't mean you get PTSD. Normally, after 2 weeks, the stuff is processed. That's the normal thing that happens.
Let's also be aware that Frodo lost the battle with the ring. When he got to Mount Doom, he's about to throw it over. Nope. He changed his mind. He's like, no, it's mine. And he puts the ring on, and then we has to take Gollum to bite it off his finger to come back to his senses.
Yeah, he made it. He basically held out against the ring until the very last moment, and then succumbs to it.
Right.
Which is a very impactful thing to happen. That the hero succumbs and needs someone else to do it, to do what he can't do anymore. And that is the in the case of some the war body that you will only find in war on that level, most likely. And then of course the Gollum thing, which is we could say a lucky mishap.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I like how it was almost like a foreshadowing of what Gollum would do, or why he was.
And the interesting thing I find about that is that looking at the masses of stories and movies that we get, this conclusion in Lord of the Rings at Mount Doom is unconventional.
Mm-hmm. It is very unconventional.
Okay, so we can all agree it's not.
I still laugh about the fact that Gandalf says Gollum still has a part to play in all this, and I imagine Frodo going, "What? Bite my fucking fingers off? Cheers, thanks for that, Gandalf. You could have told me that,
Well, there was plenty of times when Sam just wanted to abandon him because he was not being very helpful, or he was being very antagonistic, and yet Frodo's like, no, we need him to guide us. We have no idea where we're going. We'll be lost without him. And I would agree to a point, but once you're at Mount Doom, it's like, okay, Gollum, you're done. Go away.
Yeah,
we're finished.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah. Once you're there, it's like we don't need our guide anymore.
Yeah, but
just one thing I just want to finish up because it keeps stuck in my head. Otherwise, what I mentioned before. Normally, like you see a car accident, you don't need to be in it. But that is a traumatizing event, and normally that is processed out of your brain within about 2 weeks, and you have your body has a natural reaction to limit your speech center to articulate it, so that you do not re-traumatize yourself while it is processing that trauma. After about 2 weeks, that's out of the system, and it doesn't leave any emotional baggage or anything with you. And that is what people go through several times in their lives without even noticing it. That's fine. When we talk about PTSD, however, post-traumatic stress. What people from like the Fellowship, as they go through this endless war. This is a war story in that sense. As they go through that is stuff that your brain didn't manage to process out within that time frame, and it just keeps being stuck. And that is a hard rule. That's not magic. And then your brain it keeps trying to process this stuff at times. Sometimes it buries it, but even subconsciously, it tries to process it. And that limits your capacity for other things. And that is what we're talking about then. It's not in any way magical, and that's all it is. It's just a traumatic event that your brain fails to process out. Most traumatic events your brain can deal with, but some it doesn't, and it is not predictable what it can process out and what not, because you are affected. You could be affected with a PTSD reaction by things other people aren't, and the other way around. Could be the exact same thing, and that is the only unpredictable element that we have here. But other than that, hard rules, absolutely hard rules, and we have mapped them out pretty well by science at this point, and we know what to do about them. It's just hard to find therapists who actually can. That's another story. So him equating PTSD to magic, I'll just say it's
a goof.
It offends me because I'm dealing with this shit. And it's not fun, and it's not magic. It's just crap.
Okay, all right. Let's continue, folks.
Yeah.
Being used at a different kind of story, a different kind of emotional beat and tension. Now, the usual justification for preferring hard magic systems is something along the lines of, I want magic to be a tool that the reader and characters can use to logically solve problems with. And this is usually compounded with a criticism of soft magic systems along the lines of, having characters use magic inexplicably robs the story of tension and payoff. And these are good points to make, I've made them myself. But they're not necessarily always true. A major mechanic in Don't Nod's 2015 game Life is Strange is that the player character, Max Caulfield, can rewind time. This little spiral here tells you how much you can rewind, and you can use it to solve problems and redo conversations in the story. But it's an oddly soft mechanic for such a large part of the game. The little spiral might tell you how much you can rewind, but the exact amount of time it allows you to control changes from scene to scene. There are some moments where you can't rewind at all of a sudden, and throughout the game, sometimes random new powers come to you at pretty convenient times that don't naturally arise from the rules established beforehand. The clearest example of this is at the end of episode 2, where you intervene to save Kate Marsh from taking her own life. You arrive at school and you see her atop the building. Now, under the usual magical game mechanics the player would rely on, you can't move while rewinding time. But Max suddenly finds herself able to do this in order to reach the top of the building. And depending on which answers you now choose here, you push her closer to the edge or you draw her back. And under usual magical game mechanics, you can rewind time when you pick a wrong answer, but you suddenly find yourself unable to use your powers this time. In the past she just fainted, but she never lost her powers, and this problem doesn't really ever come up again. A lot of authors would see these as red flags of bad writing, and within Brandon Sanderson's emphasis on predictability and consistency,
it looked like she was struggling to do this.
Or in this case, the player can't rely on clear magic rules to solve problems, then obstacles can seem random, and plot resolution can feel cheap, and successes unearned. But much like how those emotional beats of Frodo's story were never about...
Okay, wait. Everything he said is true. That is bad, and that's exactly what happens with that scene, okay? All of a sudden, she can walk through time, and she does it. She rewinds it every 10 seconds. She keeps walking, rewinds it 10 seconds, and she goes all the way up the stairs. And all of a sudden, she's just out of juice. You're like, and you didn't faint. You got a little bit of a nosebleed, but you're okay. And it's like, and then you can't save this girl no matter what you do. You control time. You've been doing it for 10 minutes, rewinding time, and all of a sudden you can't do it.
Yeah.
Because plot.
Yeah, that's a little bit convenient.
You know, when you said this is going to be about feelings and themes and stuff, it's going to be that, isn't it?
I think so, because he didn't explain himself. He just said, "This is bad." I'm like, "I agree, this is bad," and then he just jumps right back to
yeah. I was like, yeah. I was like, yep, 100% agree. This sounds like really bad storytelling. Yeah, but the feeling you get, I was like, oh, here we go.
What else could it be about?
Yeah.
If you don't appeal to emotion, what else? You're not going to appeal to ethos. You're not going to appeal to reason. So it's going to be emotion.
Yeah,
The magic of the emotional beats of Life is Strange were never about time travel. Life is Strange explores suicide.
Okay, again, I don't care what the story beats of the game are. They don't have to be about time travel. You still have to use the mechanic properly.
Tell me the story that is solely about the exploration of the magic and not anything else that uses magic just as a vehicle or prop to get the story along and fluff out the world and make the world more interesting. Tell me about that story, because I don't know it. I only know stories that have some sort of magic in them in order as a gimmick, as atmosphere, as an extra tool in the shed, as something to be mystical about in the world. Sometimes it is like a puzzle to figure out the rules of the magic, including for the characters that are trying to figure that out.
Well,
and you have a similar thing going on in lots of science fiction, and
yeah,
a good example of that would be Stargate Sg1, where they gather several science fiction devices from different worlds, and in later episodes remember, oh, we have this problem, but we got this device from back then and that other device from there. Let's combine the effects and we can solve the problem we have right now. That is still hard rules.
Right. Even with Life is Strange, there are moments where she's trying to prove she can rewind time to Chloe in the diner, and she's just sort of solving puzzles for her as opposed to figuring out how her powers work. Because if you could control time, that would be a game changer. You'd be like, okay, I got to stop everything what I'm doing and figure this out. And with Max, she's just like, oh, I can control time. Let me go back to taking selfies and talking to pigeons and squirrels or whatever the hell she does. Like, it's just this thing she now can do. And it's just a mechanic in the story. There's not like, I should go experiment and do stuff. And nope, I'm going to try and save my friend and break all the rules of time travel just because I can.
And technically, she is moving around as she rewinds time, as she is standing in the same place while before she was moving around. If she was moving time back properly, she would also zip around the place. So from the perspective of everyone who's rewinding in time, she is to the point where she's rewinding time too. She's standing now in a different place than a split second before.
Yeah, she'd be teleporting all over the place. She'd be like, boom, 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 boom.
It's a bit odd.
Some kid going,
it's a bit odd.
God, I'm going to have to stop sniffing glue before I come to school.
Yeah, so her actually moving while she's rewinding time doesn't come across as that much of a break to me. Just maybe it's more straining, but I could accept it if because I think about this mechanic a little more, maybe more than the Office did. I don't know what the Office thought about it.
But we're diving into like why something is better the feels territory again, and I'm just.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right, and he's just going for the I want an easier writing excuse after all. Although I just admitted that it's bad.
Yeah,
I doubt it will get better.
I'm sure there are plenty of stories out there where the story beats focus on magic, and they're not hard magic systems. They're just read Harry Potter, his daily life at the school, all kinds of classes. Okay.
You can do that. That's totally okay. It's just when you have, as you write a story, rules naturally emerge about the stuff you're using, and if you randomly break them, you break the immersion.
Like, I'm not expecting an author to just give me all the rules to magic the second chapter once we discover in the first chapter it exists. I don't expect.
Page 1, paragraph 2.
I don't
anyway,
require
for
20
the next 500 pages,
Yeah,
I will give you all the.
Yeah, I don't require the at the end of the book a 20-page glossary with diagrams of how the magic operates. If you want real life magic, look at high frequency electronics. Study that. That is the closest thing to black magic we have. Just look at the diagrams they're using. It's arcane.
You can't call it black magic. You have to call it Afro-American magic.
Oh, shut up! No, we properly stole this from the Kangs, so it's ours now. We can call it whatever we like. They were dumb enough to let it be stolen.
It's sub-Saharan magic.
So it's ours now.
Continental.
They let them be outwitted by some Northern European cave dwellers, and got all their science fiction, esoteric space magic stolen by some cavemen.
Oh.
Then they deserve to have lost it.
Let's go with that.
All right.
Keep going.
You know what? I'm not even disagreeing. Yeah. They deserve it. They suck.
Abuse, depression, and other social problems, and the narrative tension arises from you trying to navigate these issues, to make the right choice without knowing what the full ramifications might be down the line. Like before, these are
Why are all these
psychological
people wearing mops
tensions.
on their heads?
Having a hard magic system with a defined cause and effect play a major role in resolving these complex issues would undermine the thematic importance of these issues in the first place. Much like how Tolkien...
Okay, so this is the argument as because there's so much detail in one thing, like magic, we can't focus on another thing, like characters, which is silly. Nothing stopping the writer or the scenario creator to make a scene that has both.
Knew that you can't logically solve Frodo's trauma. You can't logically...
We're not trying to solve... What? Okay.
Oh.
The point of Lord of the Rings is not to solve his trauma. That's not... No one's saying that it was or is.
Yeah. That if anything, that can come up after the story ended.
We want to
There is
see
such a thing
characters
going to
go through conflict. We want them to be traumatic. We want it to be stressful. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's what stakes create. They
Can you imagine
you.
Frodo is like, oh, I can solve this ring thing and I'll just be fine. I'll just walk up to Mount Doom and there we go. It's like, oh, you figured it out. What a great
and
guy.
I thought you wanted to talk about magic and not whatever you're talking about now.
So he is saying trauma.
Friendship is trauma. I mean magic. I mean
No.
Let's
with Chloe it is.
I think that we've gotten pretty far. Like we're halfway through, and it's only been we're making good time.
But he's just making emotional drivel. You're not convincing me with emotional drivel.
Yeah.
Talk about soft magic systems and why they're better for writing.
It's kind of like saying...
Because right now you gave yourself an example of why it's bad for writing.
Yeah. It's like saying space opera is melodramatic, therefore you can't be serious. And you can't have hard science, or you can't have big ideas.
I am serious. Don't call me Shirley. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
This really is going down the bloody... themes and
It's
feelings,
at least it's not as bad as Just Right.
I mean,
okay. Sorry,
he does.
Sorry, he's
make
not
video.
totally shit. Okay, well, thanks. Good for that. Wow, what did you do?
All right, let's go.
Solve Kate's suicidality, Chloe's self-destructive tendencies, or Nathan's abuse with clear and defined rules. In contrast, Life is Strange's soft and inconsistent magic system ensured that the narrative weight remained on your choices, which are complicated and difficult
That has nothing to do with the soft or hard magic, science, technology, spiritualism, religious, any other element in the story. Nothing.
Yeah, and if this is your one gimmick in the game, your one magic gimmick, it should have hard rules. That's just my opinion. if it's the one thing that stands out as in your multiple choice visual novel, it should have set rules that it works by and that it can't do.
Yeah, but
not randomly work around. Which by the way, I see as supportive of my hypothesis that none of the events in the game ever happened, and Chloe was all the side just in the toilet, coming up with coping fantasies because Max got shot. Or am I mixing up the names? I'm mixing up the names again, I bet.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about these stupid characters. The blue-haired stupid girl.
It really helps.
Life Strange is dumb.
And time travel girl was never time traveling. She just sat in the toilet and trying to cope with fantasies that she came up with as to why she didn't die and that she did intervene and that she never did any of these.
It really helps to make an argument about characters that people actually care about when focusing on an emotional narrative as opposed to a hard magical narrative or whatever he's trying to get at. It's just like, yeah, we don't like these characters. They don't resonate very well. They're kind of obnoxious, and everything is blamed on Chloe because she's the cause of everything. It's like, yeah, who cares if it's hard or soft magic? It's stupid.
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
To make, much like the very issues that the stories are addressing. And the magic system changes and evolves where it needs to best explore those issues. And that's what's important.
No, it doesn't.
No. That's not evolving. That's just tacking on random shit.
This is contrived.
Yes.
The entire scene.
That's the thing I've been talking about. The same as the Harry Potter thing of, a new problem that we don't know anything for. I happen to have a spell that does exactly what we need. A rare one, an absolute rare thing.
Or even ghosts exist in this universe. The characters that are important need to die. They would choose not to come back as ghosts because it's a terrible experience. Bull crap.
It's the same with Rey, contrively moving a mountain with her hand because she thought the Force is all about lifting rocks. She learned nothing on how to do that, and all of a sudden, hundreds of boulders just move up in the air because she needs them to.
Yeah, and the whole lesson Luke tried to give her was that, no, the Force is not about lifting rocks, but the finale of the movie is that she's lifting rocks.
Also, he even said that the Force is stupid. He's saying that the Force is stupid. That's his whole argument.
Yeah.
No,
you're
Brian
stupid.
Johnson is a moron. That's just your opinion, Hawk.
And I'd like to make a positive, a positive instance for the evolution of a magic system, if you will. Evolution is the wrong word here. The how it grows and expands is in New Hope, when we see when Kenobi and the gang get to Mos Eisley, and there's the two stormtroopers, and Kenobi does this Jedi mind trick. He's never done this before. We only know he's a Jedi, he can do things, lightsabers exist, but we haven't actually seen any of the magic yet. And this is a small scene that could have been solved in other ways too, as it's a classic problem that occurs in movies. You get stopped by security guards that are looking for someone, maybe or maybe not. And he solves it with this little magic trick. So we learn about the little magic trick, and we now know it exists, and it can be applied in other moments. And we even get into situations where it doesn't work. And if we get to the prequels, and we get a harder moment where that doesn't work because somehow that's a species thing apparently that are immune to it.
Which is
that is how you add little rules and limitations to it, without it just coming up as, the stakes are so big and now we need the Deus Ex to solve it. It's that you slowly introduce things into the world.
All right.
And Life is Strange just does the Deus Ex thing.
Oh God.
Yeah, it seems as though it is.
It's not worth considering. Here's Joe Crazy. The choices hardly matter in Life is Strange, though, because everything comes back to the ending, which is save or not save Chloe. And if you save Chloe, the entire town dies. And if you don't save Chloe, meaning you rewind time all the way back to the beginning of the game and let her die, none of the events of the entire thing you just went through never happened.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying it was all in her head all along. She just made it all up.
Aside from was the DLC a continuation? Yeah, I can't remember the DLC.
So wait, hold on. So either everyone dies, at which point nothing you did mattered, or it goes back to the point where before you did anything, so nothing you did mattered. Wow.
Only Chloe dies.
So Kate's gonna die anyway.
Oh, that we don't know, because we rewound time up to the point where Chloe dies at the start of the game, so events would change like that.
I mean, Kate dies.
Yeah, Kate, the girl who jumps off the
suicide.
Yeah, the girl who commits suicide. Right, exactly. So
and that's an event much later in the story.
Right.
And since now everything goes differently, that event might not even have to happen.
Which is probably a good thing, because Chloe was a horrible person, and I'd rather, it's horrible calculus, but one horrible person dying or an entire town.
This is the one time where the utilitarian argument makes somewhat sense. Because Chloe is a psychopath.
But
she has a borderline personality disorder and is a psychopath.
But again,
and you want to sacrifice a town with a bunch of innocent and good people, and well, of course, a bunch of other horrible people too. You want to sacrifice an entire town to save a borderline psychopath.
But again, the magic system, the magic of Max's abilities, we don't know how it works. She can just rewind time months in the past. I don't know how much time is. I think it's a week or two. I can't remember how many days, but all the way to the beginning of the story. Boom.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe, because these things just happen. And you're like, oh, I guess we're doing this now. I guess this is how it works. And
so
no explanation.
How is this better than hard magic?
I much prefer SWOTOR to this. SWOTOR makes way more sense than this.
The swole.
That's not hard.
SWOTOR.
Yeah, well.
Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Here's Great Scott. Life is Strange really reminds me of BioShock 3, or BioShock Infinite, rather. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I've heard bad things about how utterly multi-buggered the time travel mechanics in that game is.
It's not the time travel. It's more the
Bell lookalike. The Bell lookalike.
Yeah, no, it's more that the burial at sea sort of makes everything that happened in the original story pointless. Because the reason why Booker dies again. Sorry, spoilers, but if you haven't played BioShock Infinite by now, I don't feel sorry for you, and you deserve for it to be spoiled. The reason he dies is to stop Comstock, but even though he kills himself at that point, somehow there's another Comstock on Rapture that Elizabeth has got to kill. So it doesn't make sense.
Clearly not.
And there's other things, but it's a bit like it's hard to explain, because
It seems like it's just dumb.
It's big ideas, but little brains. Yeah.
It's a broken plot. I made a few. I think I made a video about that a while ago. It is.
Yeah, I recently played it like 6 months ago. Yeah, recently. But even I still, after this is that was like the 20th or 30th time I've played it, and I still don't quite. It's hard to explain what the fuck's going on.
That's okay.
They just wanted their hero. They just wanted their hero dies. Noble sacrifice thing.
It's true. All right, let's keep going here. Almost done anyway.
Important in this. If you manage to get Kate down off that roof, it's not because of your clever exploitation of the magic system, It's because you paid attention throughout the story.
Yeah, but you know what? She still does it anyway. It doesn't matter what you say.
Wait, no, it is your clever exploitation of the magic system because you've exploited the magic to get up to the roof.
True.
If you didn't have magic,
true.
she would have just gone splat.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So yeah, it is exploitation. Or do you think that teenage girls can turn back time 10 seconds and walk through their school?
But I wish they could.
Yeah, but that's silly. It's quite the whole scene is an exploitation of the magic system.
That's just silly.
It's not my themes and my feelings and it's more about the feelings. That's why you managed to get up there. Feelings did nothing to get you up to that roof.
We should probably keep going. There's probably more interesting things that we can discuss than Life is Strange. It just seems like it's cut and dry.
Nope.
This game is really terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then he brings up anime.
Oh.
Manage to talk someone down, and that carries a lot more emotional weight. Likewise, if you fail to get kicked down off that roof, it's
I
not
don't
because
trust your
you didn't
soft-spoken velvet
manage to
voice anymore.
use the magic system correctly. Compare this to hard
Wait,
magic
so hold
stories where
on.
characters often solve
If she
major
falls,
problems in the
but you
narrative
didn't use the
with
magic system properly, but if you succeed, it's because of your feelings.
It's
I
the
guess
dialogue. It's the dialogue system. It's not the magic system.
No, but his points was if you succeed at talking her down, it's through your feelings and listening throughout the game. But if you fail, it's because you've not used the magic system right. So
I thought it was like you haven't used the dialogue. Maybe let's back up a little bit. Let's see.
It's not because
Probably.
you didn't manage to use the magic system correctly. Compare this to hard more of your clever exploitation of the magic system. It's because you paid attention throughout the story and you managed to talk someone down. And that carries a lot more emotional weight. Likewise, if you fail to get kicked down off that roof, it's not because you didn't manage to use the magic system correctly. Compare this to hard magic stories, where characters often solve major problems in the narrative with creative uses of the magic system. In Brandon Sanderson's...
Okay, wait a second. You can
Not
do...
necessarily.
There's other things you do in the game prior to that event, which causes her not to jump off the building.
Yeah.
So...
the reason why I thought that originally is on my watch together, it sort of like did a skip jump. So... he didn't say what I accused him of saying. So
Yeah, and in the hard magic system, world stories, whatever, it's not. He's the way he's phrasing it. It's like all interpersonal problems are solved with magic, which is just bullshit. An interpersonal problem is still solved with interpersonal interaction, and not with just casting spells or using the magic system creatively. This, what we just saw, the scene is within its confines, using the magic system of Life is Strange creatively, zipping forward to get to that one moment for some reason instead of winding it back further, whatever, and so I think he's putting up a big straw man here.
A little bit, yeah. I like Hello Future Me, but I guess this isn't necessarily his best video.
Yeah.
The Well of Ascension, an army of creatures called the Colossus become a massive problem in the book, and the narrative tension builds around restraining them and controlling them until Vin manages to use the Elementic magic system to control them by burning a particular metal, something the readers could have figured out. And there's a massive narrative payoff when she does that, because the tension is resolved in a way that the story naturally built towards. A large part of the immersion in these stories comes from what we'll call the fantastical tension that we can't see in other genres, figuring out the magic system alongside the characters, having tension built around and resolved by it. And that's okay, but it's a different kind of narrative setup and payoff. When it comes to storytelling, soft magic is better suited to support psychological tensions in a story, while hard magic is better suited to support fantastical tension.
I don't think so.
This is still irrelevant to the whole that is still irrelevant to the whole argument he's making and the examples he's using. For he's doing a false equivalence here.
First off,
the issue you can in your hard magic system you can have sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was just going to say, like, you could use hard magic to solve psychological tensions because you could have just somebody using magic slowly but surely to, like, maybe reconstruct their body, get over their PTSD.
Yeah, but that's a mind-altering spell. That's usually not how you use it in a story like that. Like we magic your PTSD away. That's not what we do when we write these.
I mean like you are using the magic like kind of like like how you would like construct like how somebody might like you yourself are not using the magic on yourself to cure the PTSD. You are using the magic to do things and allow you to help yourself through the PTSD by doing other things.
Yeah, what he's implying is that in a hard magic story, that a moment like talking someone out of suicide does not happen without the use of magic. That's what he implies by this false equivalence, and that is just wrong.
This statement on the screen is very confusing because magic is a fantastical tension. It is a thing that is fantastical, and you can use it in conflict and tension or whatever. Look at The Princess Bride. What's his face loses 50 years of his life, and then what brings him back? A magical pill, and boom, he's back. That's not a hard science or a hard magic system. That's just Miracle Max. He has a magic pill.
Fairy tale.
Yeah.
That's just fairy tale stuff. That's fairy tale logic. Yeah.
It's not emotional. It's just like, oh wow, he could bring God. He's not dead. He's mostly dead. There's a big difference. Like, okay. So
now please open his mouth.
yeah, it's not, I'm feeling emotional over a corpse. It's like, no, he's gone. He's toast. It's like, oh no, he's not. Like, okay, all right, whatever story. And then he brings him back. So that's a fantastical tension if there ever was one. He is stuck on this definition as if he just learned it, like he just read Brandon like, I don't know, a week ago. He's like, okay, I'm ready to make a video about Lord of the Rings and I'll somehow tie that into Life is Strange.
And all that Max did was use her magic power to get to the point where she could talk Kate out of suicide. And the same would happen in or is possible in a hard magic rule world, where the character just uses magic to get to the point to talk the person out of it, or feather the fall, or whatever else.
You could argue
not
that Max ran out of...
still have the psychological talk.
Yeah, you could make it an RPG, and Max ran out of mana points or whatever, and the character forgot to get some potions to rewind time. And that would be a hard magical system. That would make sense. And the story would be exactly the same. So who cares? What is the actual argument I'm getting at? Because he's saying it lends itself better to certain things. Yes, but that doesn't mean it's worthwhile to do it. Because you get so much more with a hard system. If you want to go into detail. Detail is the necessity for belief in fiction. The more detail you have, it doesn't matter if it's hard or soft or this or that, as long as you explain it so people can wrap their brains around, okay, I know what you're talking about. Now, there's, of course, bad storytelling, like we had, was it yesterday or was it 2 days ago? That's
a hard system doesn't automatically make your story good.
No, it's the type of detail and how you explain it so people can understand it well. So you have to make a good explanation so a moron reader can go, oh, I understand this. That makes sense. And that's the beauty of being using brevity in your technique, so that you're short and to the point, and it makes sense, and you have just enough information to get things across. So that is the key, not the hard element, not this soft element, because people love world building, And hard science fiction, hard magic lends itself to world building a lot. And they get lost in the chapters and chapters of describing things, which is fine. If that's what your readers want, then that's cool. But brevity helps yourself out when you're trying to explain science, technology, magic, cheating death, moving faster than light, whatever the mystical element or fantastical element you have. Anyway.
Yeah, don't be random. If you're too random, then your average reader will lose interest.
Yeah, ass pulls, contrivances, Deus Exes, Mary Sue moments. Don't do those. So when you have a magical system, when you have a magical system, you're like, oh, I'm going to use blue magic in this scene because this is the perfect time, and the audience knows that. I know that. I talked about it. We're all set to go. Boom. I can fly for 2 seconds. That's perfect. It's all I needed. Boom. We solved the fight scene, and the guy could run away, or whatever you do. That's it. That's all you need. It makes sense.
Thank you for plugging Lost Legion, Smud. It's always appreciated.
Oh yeah, blue magic. That's yours. You have so much You have all these colors. Like, which one was it? A green again? Is it healing? I don't know. Oh boy. Anyway.
Green is earth, blue is ice, red is fire, white is air.
There you go.
Simple.
Okay.
Yeah, so simple.
All right.
This is to say that they can't do the reverse, not at all. But I think that this is where each of their strengths lie.
How?
They serve different roles in the narrative, this being one of them. And the strength in soft magic extends beyond mental illness. I use that as an example because it's what I read and what I write. But if it's just the same for any other abstract ideas or themes or tensions that aren't fantastical, like relationships or politics. I prefer soft magic because I find stories that are first and foremost about those issues and only secondarily about the fantasy more emotionally engaged.
This is nonsense. This is nonsense.
Yeah, of course.
What are you reading? When I read Wheel of Time, it's in a fantasy world, but it's first and foremost about the characters and their interactions. They just happen to live in a world that has some oddities to it.
I will argue
how they interact with those oddities. Like when the old people from the overseas come to the main continent, they use the magic system. I just try to avoid pronouncing them.
It's a weird. He's got a lot of weird words and names and way too many characters.
Yeah, and they figured if you other key things out about the magic that is not known on the continental world, but it still follows the same basic rules of it. They just went a little bit different about it, which brings new elements into the whole thing. But that is just an interesting example. You have this other culture that operates completely differently, but abides by the same basic rules of that universe. And the story is still about the characters, how they interact, how they deal with things, what they're affected by, how they overcome it or don't. It's not primarily about the magic or the fantasy, as he puts it, because that's what he's implying here. It's primarily about the characters in that world. The world just happens to be fantasy. I'm pretty sure you could write the Wheel of Time almost the same way in a science fiction setting.
I think you could, yeah. I would agree with that.
All right. Let's go.
And I understand that that's personal for me. I look to fiction to process and reflect on my own problems, both in what I read and what I write. That's actually why I enjoyed The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness so much. Because it's got a soft magic edge to it, but it's fundamentally about anxiety and what the hell it means to be an adult.
Okay, this is getting a little awkward because there are stories which focus on the fantasy or the science fiction. I tend to think of Asimov because he's so technical, Greg Egan because he's a physicist, and he'll focus on the story of what does it mean to discover stuff, because the story is about humans that have been transplanted into android bodies, so they're kind of dispossessed in the first place, and they're thinking about the banality of existence. So you're no longer focusing on character development because that's the point. It's about losing your humanity and what is the point of existence, as opposed to character drama and why are we still alive, and it's just knowledge. It's all just information.
Yeah, but that's a sci-fi element, and the good sci-fi is always about exploring a philosophical idea or another possibility that a technology brings with us that is explored in the story.
Right, and
it's not necessarily about overcoming a conflict,
and it's drawn out to its conclusion. And this is like a 7th part of a series, so it's right at the end. And this guy is the most technically minded writer. I mean, he talks about string theory like every other page. It drives you crazy unless you know something about quantum mechanics. So getting through that book is hard. One of those books.
Oh, are you familiar with Perry Rodin?
I know the name.
It's one of in Germany. It's a very big science fiction thing, and it had and I think still has a very how do you say, not rabid but very passionate fan base. And it went through several iterations, I think even resets. I am not entirely familiar. It's a huge body of work, and it was the type of science fiction that came with blueprints at the end of the stories books, of the spaceships, of the things that were described in the stories. And that is the level of intricacy it went to, and this is the type of passion that went into it. And fans, of course, building on that, and future writers. That is I think that's for science fiction that can be a very healthy thing as even. And when his issue seems to be, as he implies, he has issues with anxiety and what it means to be an adult. And I tell you, stop reading books. You're old enough. Just get basic survival training and then live in the woods for a month. Do it. Seriously, do it. Or live on the street for a month in winter. Do it. That is what grounds you, and that is what makes you grow up. And that gets rid of some of your anxiety, and that teaches you responsibility. First for yourself, and then it teaches you appreciation for all the luxuries you have. Even if you are led by socialist standards of today, poor. When poor in the Western world, in our first world countries, means you are on social security, you have a roof over your head, you have heaters in your house, you have running water, a toilet, you can buy food in the supermarket, you don't have to hunt for it, and you have access to the internet these days, and you can all afford that as the poor.
I feel so attacked.
So, yeah, fuck off. and yeah, but dude, get out, live on the street for a month in winter, go into the forest, survive for a month, just go there with a knife. That's all you get.
No, don't give these people knives. Wisp, no! Don't give them knives.
Well, don't give them any ideas.
Yeah, just I mean, get your basics.
I get the joke. As far as I'm aware, he's not one of the crazy ones. Like, he's not one of the communists.
Yeah, no. But I think what Whisper's saying is, he seems to have a lot of problems where a hell of a lot of his enjoyment from media seems to be due to his own problem.
Yeah, and he's not at the age anymore where he gets the ideas on how to overcome these things from fiction. He's at the age where he needs to get out into the world and get some reality checks.
I think the sentiment
he's stuck in that teenage mindset.
I think the sentiment is something that Brandon would start with as a premise and then work through that, but he would never say, this is a good reason to have a soft magic system. I think that would be like one of like 30 things he would have discussed in one of his lectures about using magic systems properly.
Yeah, I think that at one point, like he says, like they have their pros and cons. Like soft magic system does lead to Deus Ex frequently. that they're good for like creating an air of mystery. If you want to, like with Lord of the Rings or Song of Ice and Fire, the magic is elusive and not terribly well understood.
Exactly.
Whereas in Mistborn, there are quantifiable like things that you can do. Like if you have more pewter, say, in your stomach, you can run longer than somebody who only has like pewter flakes in their stomach.
Yes, there's a nuance to having a soft magic system like in Star Wars, where they can do things with telekinesis or perception, future perception. It's like, okay, that's enough. You can do other things with that, even though it wasn't explicitly stated. And that's when we get all the force powers slowly coming into being throughout the episode 4, 5, and 6. So it's like, okay, great. And then we have episode 7 where we understand Kylo Ren. He can freeze a blaster bolt in midair because like it's telekinesis. Okay, we get it. It's okay. You don't need to see him trained to do that. It's like, we get it. It's okay. So I think that's what we need to address, that the mystery element lends itself to other things, but that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Everything comes down to basic storytelling after that.
It all depends on how it's portrayed in the story. Like if it's like, you know, the soft magic system is just kind of like something, just a wizard just kind of does things and people like just accept it. It's just like, oh, okay. Wizard just can do things. Wizard can crack rock with his staff.
Right.
And beat the living crap out of a demon while falling thousands of stories at a time with a freaking magic sword, just beats the crap out of it. And it's awesome.
All right. Here is Great Scott again. Thank you, sir. Perfect example of how a hard magic can have psychological tension. Full Metal Alchemist. Yep, that is a very hard magic system. All the elements to make a human being, and that's the whole premise of the show. They try to make a human being. They try to bring their mother back from the dead. All hell breaks loose, and they're on this story of redemption for, I don't know, was it 80 episodes? Very, very long series. And probably not 80, but it's a long series.
No, it's about 52. It's the 2-season length.
There we go.
And well, the hard rule, one of the hard rules is you can only recombine things. You cannot make something from nothing.
The biggest,
that is one of the hard rules.
Yeah, the biggest rule is there's an equal trade-off for everything.
Yeah, and the next hard rule is you need to know the thing you want to create inside and out.
Yeah.
To the basic structure of the to the molecules.
Isn't it the law of equivalent exchange? Isn't that what it's called?
Yes, you got it.
Yes.
That's mentioned so many times throughout the series. It's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, there's definitely a science to it.
Yeah, exactly. They develop their own science.
Beginning of every episode. Is that at the beginning of every episode or something?
I don't know the English dub. Maybe they've done that for the intro, but throughout I'm talking about the original Full Metal Alchemist, not Brotherhood. So I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but
probably in the original.
Yeah, probably too. Anyway, here's 2Tim505. Did you see Nintendo's new game, Game Builder Garage? I did not. I couldn't tell you what that is.
What? I'm the Nintendo. I'm a Nintendo nerd here, and even I don't know about that.
Same here.
That sounds like a dumb app game for the iPad.
Anyone can learn the basics of game design and visual programming with step-by-step lessons created by the minds at Nintendo. Okay.
It sounds like an adaptation of Scratch.
That sounds like a bootleg game, not an official Nintendo.
Oh, you know what this reminds me of? I don't know if you guys remember back on the C64, there was a game called, it wasn't a game, it was a learning software about logic called Logic Gates. And you had to combine logic gates to create circuits that would open up switches, or you could power a switch to open a door to go to the next level. And that's the whole...
sounds like what you see is what you get visual programming with visual aid.
Is that like a
Honestly,
hack? Is that like a hacking game or something?
No. This is old. This was really old, and it was trying to explain programming or logic to kids with visual cues. Like you have like a gateway, like an AND OR gate, and you'd have to combine it with another node that would operate a switch. So you have to I can't connect with that one. I have to connect with this one, and how to make the color blue from two other colors, like whatever the combination of colors were. It was basic logic essentially. And I can't remember what the hell it was called, but anyway, it was to teach you about logic gates, essentially.
So logic gate sounds.
So does it fall under edutainment or something?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So logic gate. That actually sounds like Patrick Willems' Just Right and Pop Culture Detectives' little cabal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, logic gate.
You know what? That does sound like it could be the name.
I actually watched a Just Right Says Snyder Cut video, and he recommended Maggie May Fish in it. I was just like,
whoa! Wait a second. Wait a second. Maggie May Fish has a Snyder Cut video?
Yeah, she has a live stream reaction to it.
No, don't think about it.
No, she doesn't.
Think about it.
No. Who's Maggie May Fish?
Yes, she does have a Snyder Cut video.
Oh, no.
Yes, unfortunately.
Because the month just started. We got to plan out our.
No one suggests that video, or you will die.
I will suggest that video, and I can take you.
Okay, who's making bets on who she thinks is gay?
Or no, who's the fascist? Who's the fascist in the story? I want to know.
Oh, it's going to be all of them. She believes that all the characters in the BVS movies are fascists.
Really?
Yeah, but which of the fascists are gay for each other?
Oh, there's a good question.
Lord, it's clearly Batman.
Okay. At the very least, no one suggests that video for the next stream or the stream after. Give it some time first, and then maybe eventually we'll cover it. At least give it some time first, since we just found out about it.
All right.
Maybe we should do a Just Rights thing, since he has a lot. Maybe we should do Just Rights Snyder Cut video.
Dunn,
we haven't done.
Dunn, how about you just shut the fuck up and not make it.
Just Right is not that bad. Just Right isn't that bad. He's not that bad.
Not as bad as Maggie.
He's not that bad. Bear in mind, Smud's still got the scars from the last time he tried to cut his wrists.
It's all beneath the threshold. I don't care. I don't care how much someone is less insane than another. They're all beneath the threshold of being bearable.
Yeah.
He's
insane.
He's boringly competent is my best description of Just Right, with a few exceptions.
Well,
boringly hypocritical. Yeah,
compared,
let's go with that. Boringly hypocritical.
Compared to yesterday, I would rather watch Just Right. So.
Oh god, yeah. I
already forgot what we watched.
I was in the audience, and I was like, wow. I feel sorry for everybody.
I mean, for me personally, the lowest the bar can go for me is Just the Facts, but because anything's better than that guy for me.
Okay.
Bad. Oh, the guy is all anime postmodern. Was it really that bad?
Oh,
wow.
That was. Oh god, no.
Was it that bad? No. It was literally just communist propaganda behind an anime title.
It was just.
I wanted to join that one. I wanted to join for that one so bad just because of that.
It was just word salad. It was just pretentious word salad.
Wow. Should we continue?
Pretty much.
Yes.
Video/super chat?
Yeah. Let's continue. We've.
I mean, we're blazing through it.
Yeah,
so
we're almost done. So let's go.
How weird stuff in fiction matters. It can help people, but I think we should do more than that. And that's why, on December 6th, I'm going to be doing my first ever
it's finished. It's finished.
For 24 hours straight. No sleep.
Oh no, that's the
right
thing.
Here on YouTube.
Yeah,
and every scene will go to Crisis.
Yeah, I think it's over.
As the finale of their Get Out
let's just let it play.
My only sustenance will be energy drinks and
someone said the last 3 minutes were like promoting something.
Personally matching every donation up to $1,000.
Yes,
you're
great.
Then,
so he came up with this stupid video just for his
Crisis text line because
that's why he brought up PTSD as being magic for
difference that they
PTSD
make.
crisis self donation.
Did
stream
his
thing?
complexion just change? Is he like pink skinned on the cheeks there? I just noticed that. Is that normal?
Maybe a little bit.
That was always. I mean, for the video, that was always there.
Oh,
but I
okay.
don't know if it's.
I wasn't paying
Maybe
attention.
it's just the lighting shot.
Yeah.
I think he's probably just resting his hands on his face all the time or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
to
really,
keep it
really,
safe
this
for
is
those
now
struggling
about
with
some
really
donation
dark
stream for
places with
PTSD or what?
suicidality, trauma, and other.
You're never gonna let that go, are you,
Not
Wisp?
only that, but across the stream, I will be joined by over a dozen other YouTubers like Eugenia Cooney, Nanda V Movies, OSP, and other creators to help.
Just
keep-
right.
Just right.
All
Filmento!
God, all insane people. No, you know what?
No, yeah, they're all there. Hey!
Okay, question.
Dude, you're in bad company there, bro.
How many of these guys have you guys covered in the Smudcast so far? That you know.
At
We
least
have
two.
not covered I think we've covered Brown Table.
Yes.
I don't know if we've covered Filmento. I know Filmento has been covered by EFAB.
We did them too. Yeah, we did.
Are we done Filmento?
Yes, we did. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did?
We did
Okay.
Which video of Filmento did we do?
I don't remember. I would have to search that.
I guess I know we're definitely.
We've got that one we did. What was it? We recently did with Death Tropes. The red and blue people. If you scroll back.
Really Sarcastic Productions.
Yeah. Yeah, we've recently did that.
You know what? Right now I dare someone to actually take screen caps of this part of the video with all the profile pics and then just cross out everyone that Smudcast has covered.
Yeah,
What Filmento did we cover? Like, I know Daniel Green's fine. He's okay. Let's see.
mental illnesses. And not only that, but across the stream, I will be joined by over a dozen other YouTubers.
Is
Right,
that sheep
so-
in the box?
Yes. No.
No, that
Is
can't.
it-
No way. That can't be him.
No. Who's the
No,
guy
I
with the
don't
bag?
think so.
The guy with the bag on his head. We covered him. Because I remember
Nano V
that.
Movies is really bad. Nano V Movies sucks.
Yeah, but the guy with the bag on his head we covered.
I don't know
remember
any
that.
of these.
Okay.
The
I don't know the chick with the highlights. I have no
you know
idea.
what, I was about to say a girl, but knowing these group of people, no, I've never seen her before. The Viking ship guy, I haven't got a clue.
Murphy Napier. Yeah, Murphy Napier is cool. I like Murphy Napier. Murphy Napier is cool.
I don't know who that is. So
She's a booktuber.
Booktuber. Jesus.
Yeah, she just reads books and then just reviews them for people.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, she did a thing of Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra. Like, she just like Korra's, I didn't like it very much.
Okay.
Like, so she's smart there. It's just the funniest
Like
ones
Eugenia Cooney,
are
Nanda V
A
Movies,
closer
OSP,
look.
and other
We've done them.
Ugh.
Just Right, definitely.
F&S?
Brown
Who's
Table.
F&S?
Brown Table's dumb. Just Right is dumb. Like, both of them are morons.
Yeah, but who's F&S?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right now we're checking people off the list.
So we,
I'm just trying to
great.
think.
yeah, we just did overly sarcastic
Come
last week.
on.
So
Oh, come on. Brown Table,
Oh,
Marvel
Matthias-
Studios' greatest work is-
Matthias is gonna make the list of everyone in this list crossing them out.
Oh man,
No.
just Brown Table just did a thing about how when Falcon and Winter Soldier is a masterpiece. And I was like,
No.
no.
Of
I-
course
I-
he thinks
I
that
don't-
because
I
it's
don't-
race baiting bullshit.
I don't care what that guy thinks. I couldn't.
Because
care
he's a
if he
smooth-brained
goes,
racist.
Yeah, if he said to me oxygen is the best thing to breathe in, I'd fucking live under the sea. I just don't care. I really just
I'm gonna switch to nitrogen.
Yeah.
There's more of that in the atmosphere anyway.
Fucking shoot me into space. I don't care anymore.
Here
I'm
is
going now.
Overly
My
sarcastic
planet
is hit and
needs
miss.
me.
They can do good stuff.
My planet needs me. That is literally my response.
here is 210-505. I put the Nintendo game trailer in the suggestions. All right, I'll check it out. Thank you very much. That's
Yeah,
good to
if we put that up on the stream, we probably get nuked.
oh yeah, don't touch it.
Again.
No, not in the stream, just for us to check it out.
Yeah,
normal.
no. Because of what happened with Setter, we
The
watched
cooking-
that crazy
cooking thing.
what was it, cooking or just random shit you do in the kitchen?
Oh yeah, the random the alleged cooking
like
hacks that aren't hacks.
Yeah. I got taken down,
that
so I
got-
have
that
to
got
wait
nuked.
25 days for it to come back up because I doubt the channel cares who used their copyrighted material. So I'm like, I don't care. Flag me, but you're not going to sue me, so I'll wait 25 days and get it brought back. So anyway, that's the joys of YouTube. Anyway,
Suck it, DC.
yeah, let's just keep going because this is almost done.
Yeah.
Creators to
Cross
keep
more
me from
people out
kinda
off the
going
list.
insane. My mission, which I've chosen to accept, is to try and complete all 3 of the original Spyro games in under 24 hours.
Okay.
Oh wow.
That's because
Great.
when
Well
I was
done,
going
you.
through some tough times and tough thoughts, I played Spyro. I kind of retreated to it. Playing Spyro was a form of self-care for me. And self-care
that can
is really important.
It can
Post
happen, yeah.
posters on
Yeah, that's
Facebook,
totally cool.
Twitter, and Instagram, and please do share it wherever you like. It would be an immense help. Now, I have no idea how this is going to pan out or how much money we are going to raise, but doing something
12
is
cents.
always going to be better than silence.
Okay, that's one thing. But so that is commendable. The cause is commendable. That are doing this, raising some money for some crisis hotline thingy. All right. And
Doesn't
now-
make the actual
and now-
video any
yeah,
less
but-
shit.
But yeah, and now comes the big but. Because, and in case he's for some reason he sees this stream here and takes the time to watch it, what you've made up about PTSD is absolute utter crap. That is, you're essentially abusing the topic to make up some bullshit for your video and for your whatever thing you like about soft magic systems. And this is why people hate virtue signalers. You are, even though you may have your own issues, you are virtue signaling here hard. And for someone who's dealing with this very condition on a, as I have been told now a couple of times, and that was a hard thing for me to accept, on a pretty severe level. You are beyond insulting. This is dumb. If you do this, if you use things like this, and you seem to care about mental health and mental issues, apparently, allegedly, then do your fucking homework on it. Then do something, then use a topic you know about. And not something that just gives you clicks. Or keeps the audience engaged because it sounds tough. No. Talk about something you actually know something about. Or if you want to talk about this topic, then do the fucking legwork.
So,
Because this is scumfuckery.
So, I found the list. Overly Sarcastic Productions, Daniel Green, Nineveh Movies, Just Right, Benji from Taylor Foundry, Ranton, Brown Table, Henry Bosley from The Closer Look, Mr. Sunday Movies, Murphy Napier, Phil Mento, Ghostberg, Jennifer, Ghostberg / Jennifer, I have no idea what that means, Niggle Horror XY, Sabine, Rasputin, Eugenia Cooney, Bailey from Films and Stuff, that's FNS. FNS is Films and Stuff, and Alt Shift X. Apparently, Alt Shift X is really good. He is very objective with how he does things. I don't know about Films and Stuff though. He has a couple things saying that the Game of Thrones was bad, and same with Battle of Five Armies, which I can agree with. But he has one video that's entitled "We Need to Talk About How We Talk About Movie," or "Let's Talk About How We Talk About Movies," and he's got Thor Ragnarok as the scene from Thor Ragnarok as the thumbnail. I don't know what the context is.
Okay.
I just barely looked into them. But it seems like he's got like okay stuff, like Jurassic World, the cynical blockbuster. Yeah, that's an accurate description. And the Rise of Skywalker's broken structure. Like asking, is Rogue One a good Star Wars story? I think he's probably going to answer that no, but I don't know.
All right. Well, unless people recommend them to this podcast, maybe they're awesome, maybe they're garbage, maybe they're amazingly funny, but we're still going to follow our schedule. So.
I just want to add, I'm sorry for getting emotional here. This hits home very hard. And one more thing that, in case he ever sees this, some of the people in that list you were going to do this thing with, some of those people, this content they create, and the ideology they hold and perpetuate through their content, lowers the sanity of people. And the cult behind it drives people into suicide and PTSD. Well, not necessarily in that order. But, if you care about this stuff, really, then you dig into it and if you understand the differences between good and bad therapy, you will find out that the ideology behind that drives these video essayists, these socialist communist video essayists, the subjectivists and the postmodernists, you will find that what they do is the opposite of what therapy does.
Yeah,
it makes people weaker, it makes them insane, it makes them lose grip on reality.
Mm-hmm.
It just drives people into insanity. And to then see those very people on a charity stream for mental health and against suicidality is
it's kind of
I have met people from these ideologies that love the content of these people that actively drive others into suicide. Consider that.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird grouping because Daniel Green seems like he tries to be somewhat objective, though he says that you cannot be objective critique is not a thing, which I disagree with him on. Otherwise, he's fine.
I can't take that name seriously because I have an old friend from my childhood called Daniel Green, and he was an absolute idiot. So I can't think of.
But Nanda V Movies, Sage Hayden, and Brown Table, all of those all three of those people are insane. But I think those are the major insane ones that I can think of looking at this list. Everyone else is just either I don't know them or they're just fine.
Yeah. But, oh well. This stream's already happened, so that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it doesn't bother. And if a bunch of people got to talk about got money for charity, totally fine.
Well done.
Well done.
Yeah.
All right. Here's Great Scott again. Thank you, sir. Mental issues also include insomnia. 24-hour stream. Well, some people do things like wake-a-thons, or they stay up to do one thing to raise money. Sometimes it's 48 hours. Sometimes it's 72, et cetera, et cetera. It's all for the cause, whatever they're trying to do. I remember doing that in high school. We had a few wake-a-thons to raise money here and there.
I mean, that's okay. If you can pull power through that shows dedication and determination, that's okay. Personally, because that is one of the subsequent symptoms of what I'm dealing with, I can barely sleep. For the past 3.5 years, I've barely gotten sleep at night, and the sleep I get is not very deep. There's barely any REM sleep. My brain is not really recovering in any way. It's just draining more and more. And that's why I'm sometimes a bit on edge, especially when people here, with the best of intentions in his case, I'm fairly sure about that, just talk absolute crap, and it sounds like they're just exploiting the issue. Sometimes I believe he is genuine about it. There are people in the social justice circles, especially, who just exploit
medical issues that people suffer from on a daily basis, and that steps into exactly that kind of wound.
Yeah.
All right.
Finish it up, shall we?
Let's clean this up. Let's go.
And I'll see you in the future. Specifically, on December 2nd.
Alrighty. Wow, wait. Oh, these are all credits.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, he has lots of
I'm alright with
supporters.
that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
All right, we're done. That was quick.
Yay!
We literally paused it right before the credits. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That was quick.
So
That was really quick.
yeah, so we can agree that his premise was subjective, and he misunderstands what the concept of storytelling for character drama and how that applies to other elements.
His premise for the video was advertisement for the live stream he was doing.
Well, the last 3 minutes was him going on about it, and then the credits was like 2 minutes. And you're like, okay, this is not.
Yeah, but the whole setup of the video was just to attract people
I get the feeling.
to watch.
Yeah.
I get the feeling these YouTubers hit the 10-minute mark every time just to get the algorithm working for them. I think that's all that it is. Because this video, to talk about life is strange. That is not inducive of proper storytelling ideas.
Yeah, major question.
And if you wanted to
Top
bring up the
magic systems,
PTSD, just
why are
if
they
you,
better?
yeah, the choice of topics that he wanted to marry here just doesn't work. Since it was about advertisement for his charity stream, he should have just forfeited the soft magic thing and just gone through for good depictions of this or that mental issue in video games. And for PTSD, there are some good examples out there. Or in film as well. For example, in Forrest Gump, the depiction of I forgot the name, his buddy, Forrest's war buddy.
Which
an
one?
example is, Stormlight
Bubba
Archive
or
is a
Lieutenant
good
Dan?
example.
Lieutenant Dan,
Which
yeah.
one?
Yeah, Lieutenant Dan. That's a very, very, very good depiction of someone with PTSD. There are some very good scenes where he's just locked in his memories for a few moments while there's stuff going on around him. It's very, very well done stuff.
Yeah,
And that's just that is, I don't want to say just, but that is war PTSD, which works a bit different from other PTSDs.
Stormlight Archive is a very, very good exploration of various different kinds of PTSD. Like there's some abusive parent PTSD, there's war PTSD, a lot of stuff in there, like a bunch of traumatic experiences. But like I think like one of my favorite examples was just when like kind of roughly, I guess, the protagonist Kaladin, like he frequently just has like bouts of depression where he just like can't function, like thinks about like just ending it, or he'll just lock up and freeze if something horrible happens.
Oh, and
It's just really terrifying when that happens because it's just like it just feels like the world is like crashing down on him. And it's really like really sad to read.
Yeah, and there are on a lighter level, many characters in Wheel of Time are dealing with similar issues.
Yeah,
PTSD, mental blocks that they have to get through really, really tough moments in the story. And
claustrophobia. Rand with his claustrophobia as an example.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. That is, and that is the descriptions of that when he's been carried around in a small box across the entire country, locked in that just keeps coming back, and that's very well done.
Yeah, like even when he's in like just a low ceiling room after that point, he just like I'm in a box, get me out now.
Yeah. And on the other end, you have characters like Nynaeve who can't use her magic at will. She needs to be super angry for that. She has a mental block. that only later on she does get rid of, but she almost dies. She's in a near-death situation where she's about to drown. And that is the one moment where then that finally, in the moment of near death, where she succumbs to, where she accepts she's going to drown now, that is the one moment where she finally opens up, where she lets go of all her tension, and finally has free access to using her magic.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, her mental block is gone. She needed to almost die that for that to happen. If she didn't have any magic, she would be dead in that moment.
She needed no other avenues of escape. Like to have all, she needed to be checkmated in order or put into check.
Yeah, but that's and that's not the thing. She need her problem was that she was always tense because she needed to be always on guard, which is this hypertension, hypervigilance is also can be a symptom of PTSD. But in the moment of I am now at the point where I accept I am going to die, all the tension goes out in that moment because you accept, okay, it's over. And the females, the men and women, they open each other up differently to the magic, to the force in the one power. For men, it is more of a struggle. But women, they need to subject themselves to the one power. And Nynaeve is so strong-willed, so strong-minded. She's such an independent, strong woman that she cannot subject herself. She cannot let go of this because she always needed to struggle in her entire life. And this is the moment that hits home. Okay, I give up. I yield. And this and for women to be able to use this, you have to yield yourself. You have to give yourself to the force.
All right, guys.
I
think that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was rather quick, but hey, I don't mind short little videos.
I'm all right with it.
Yeah, didn't drive me to headache. Didn't make me laugh silly. Simple little argument to have, and it was nice to cover. I liked the video. It was okay.
Well, his argument wasn't really. He didn't really have much of an argument. I'm going to be brutally honest here. This all literally was distraction. Oh, by the way, I'm doing a live stream about mental health. But, right. So that was the reason he made this video.
Yeah,
he's not explained why soft magic is better.
At all. Not at all.
Yeah.
And I've seen other videos from him that are good, or I remember them to be good. And I think this is just crammed together because he needed this vehicle for his charity advertisement to get over the 10-minute mark.
Right. All right,
but
folks.
Then he could have just babbled for 10 minutes. This would have been fine.
All right, guys. Let's call it a night. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you tomorrow, and have yourself a